You are listening to Dodging Divorce Disasters, a podcast where I interview divorce professionals that give you clear guidance, real talk, and smart strategies to help you make better decisions when it matters most. My name is Lori Hawkins. I am a divorce realtor, expert, and your host. I have the privilege of working with these professionals daily, and there is a wealth of knowledge in each episode. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dodging Divorce Disasters. I'm so glad you're here today. We've got a really great treat in store for us. Sabrina Alton is here, and I'm just so excited that you're here, Sabrina. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Lori. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, when I kind of met you, we kind of met up on LinkedIn, and I just think what you do is really cool and neat. And I just wanted to I'm gonna go ahead and just let you kind of give your company name, if you where you are taking clients from, if you do them exclusively online or in person, whatever you want to tell us about your company and yourself. I'm gonna give you the open mic.
Great. Thank you, Lori. My company name is Insight Financial Coaching, and that's because I want you to have insight into yourself and into your money. And I serve all across the US. I do my coaching over Zoom. I'm located in the greater Austin area, so I can see you in person if you're in that area, but I primarily coach over Zoom. I coach women who are stepping into managing the finances for the first time, either because they got divorced and their husband had managed the money, or because they became a widow. And I also help women struggling with ADHD because the financial system is not built for them. So that's who I love to serve. And I really love to help women understand their finances and shift them from stretching a dollar to growing a dollar.
Yeah. No, that is such a great point because everybody you just mentioned does kind of fall into that category, right? I mean, it's one of those things that a lot of women, I have an accounting degree, so my mind works numerically.
Mhm.
I think analytically, but that is just not the same for everybody. And some people just do not like it and they avoid it. And deterrence can get you into trouble, especially if you're going through it. Well, really, any of those situations, any kind of life changing situation, when you just avoid it and put it off, gets you into troubles. I think that's great. Well, with this being Dodging Divorce Disasters, of course, we want to kind of focus on the women that you
Yep.
help that are going through a divorce. And one of the things that I like to do on here is to have my guests just kind of relay a time that they remember working with one of their clients that perhaps their clients did not make the best decision, and it maybe put them in a situation that if they had only done something differently, they could have dodged that divorce disaster. Because we're hoping for the people that's listening or watching that we can help them avoid some of these pitfalls. So, what do you have for us?
So I guess I have two examples. One relates to the family home, and I had a client purchase a home during the pandemic, counting on child support to cover the mortgage payment. But then she forgot that my kids grow up and that those support payments are going to stop. And so I'm working with her now on how to make up for that income gap so that she can stay where she is and keep the family home. And then another example is just forgetting to put certain costs in the divorce decree, such as college expenses, which if you're divorcing when your kids are little, you might not think about it. And then just little things around holidays, like school holidays or teacher donations or school donations, those type of little things that add up the cost of moving your kid to college. Like all those little things can add up and who is responsible for those. So don't forget to put those in your divorce decree.
Yeah. No, that is such good advice. I always say that since I have started working in the world of divorce, the area of divorce, I have the utmost respect for family law attorneys because they are highly intelligent when it comes to anything to do with the law. But a lot of times, especially in the real estate part with being a divorce realtor basically, don't always the terminology that I see or the verbiage that I see, like written into separation agreements or court orders, is not always the best for their clients because that area of real estate is not there. It's not what they know, you know? I
Mhm,
mean, I'm in it every day. The same thing with you. You know,
mhm.
you are in the numbers. You see things come through written all the time that if they could have checked with you beforehand and said, "Hey, what do I need to remember to make sure, my attorney gets into this?" They could have dodged that divorce disaster. I mean,
Mhm.
it's really that simple, but it's not things that you think about, and I think that's why it's so important for everyone to realize it really does take a team to
Yes.
get you through a divorce, and I know when I say a team, the first thing that goes through somebody's head because I'm divorced, I know how tight money was when we were going through our divorce, but knowing now what every individual person of that team, what they do collectively, it would have probably saved me or made me a lot of money, you know, by having
Yes. Yeah, and I just want to echo what you say because I believe strongly in having a divorce team, and it's the difference between thinking short term and long term. So, short term, the amount of money that you can spend might seem like a lot, but like you said, long term, it can save you more than what you pay in those people's fees. And a lot of times when women are thinking of divorce, the first person they think of is the attorney, and I want to change that, and I want it to be the first person you think of is the
Sure.
financial divorce team. So that includes people like myself, like financial coaches. I'm the before person. I can help you get your numbers organized so that you know how many assets you have and what they're worth, how many liabilities you have, because all that is going to be divided during the divorce. I can help you think through like what assets are going to grow at different rates, which assets are going to be taxed at different rates, which assets give you access to your money easily versus not so easily. So the family home has a lot of equity in it and it is an asset, but you can't pull that money very easily. If if you need to replace your roof and you don't have a savings account for home maintenance, then what are you going to do? Right?
Yeah,
Like you might have to take up more credit or you might end up having to sell the house. So you don't want to necessarily give away all the assets that are easy to access, like a stock where you can just sell it like that and get the money. That's something you want to consider. So I'm kind of the before person, and then I would want you to speak to a certified divorce financial analyst because they can really go deep into the numbers on like the growth projections and the tax rates and all of that. And
mhm,
then I would want to connect them with somebody like you who really represents their home in the divorce to make sure that both parties are treated fairly. And then a certified divorce lending professional who can tell you, if you sell your house, are you going to qualify for a mortgage afterwards? Because that can come as a shock to some people. Right. But then the tax implication is also, well, if you wait to sell your house until after your divorce, you're going to pay a lot more in taxes.
right.
And we're not talking about small amounts, like $100 or $50 or even 500. These are in the thousands of dollars that can really make a difference in your life.
Yeah. Okay, so you are a financial coach.
Yes.
So what is the difference between a financial coach versus a CDFA?
So I am not a financial advisor or planner. And so I don't like a financial planner and advisor. They allocate the investment portion of your income. So I'm the before person. I help you allocate your income. So your income goes in. We want to make sure all your fixed expenses are covered. We want to make sure you have some money to have some fun. And we want to make sure you have money for the future, which is your saving and investing. And that investing piece will then go to the financial planner or an advisor and they will allocate that piece based on what your goals are. Like, is it for retirement based on what the timeline is? And they will allocate that piece of it. So I kind of help with the cash flow and the kind of like the immediate time, and they help with more the longer term horizon, like a 10 plus year horizon.
Gotcha. So, the earlier really somebody can get to you, I mean, like, really if
Yes.
somebody is just toying with the idea of maybe divorcing, it would probably be to their benefit, perhaps, to reach out to you for just to get the knowledge
Yeah,
of
just to know what their complete financial picture is. Like I said, because that is what you're dividing, and a lot of women don't actually have the full financial picture, especially if they allow their partner to manage the finances. And I was even in that position at one point where we did kind of a typical split where I was managing the day-to-day budget of like grocery shopping and kids stuff, and he was doing the investing, but I had no insight into that. I didn't know where the accounts were. I didn't know how much was there. I didn't know what it was for. Did he have 529 plans for the kids? Did he have an IRA for me? Like, I didn't know any of that stuff. And so if women are in that position, that's what I help them find out, is really know your finances and understand, what does it all mean? Because that's another thing. Like, some women, they actually don't know. I just had a client last week. She didn't really understand, what does an asset mean and why is it important? And, how does it relate to my cash flow, to my credit cards? And so I had to explain all of that to her. And
mhm,
then a financial planner would help run scenarios and model out different projections. They would model out, what if your house grows at like 5% a year or 7% a year? Or what if your 401k portfolio grows at 7% a year? How much would you have by retirement post divorce? So they
gotcha.
do all of that model. And I just kind of do the allocation to make sure that, you got your bills covered, you have some money for fun because you're going to do it anyway. So let's put it in there, and that you're saving for your future self.
So, really once you work with them, you're kind of a I wouldn't say one and done because it might take a while to get every all your ducks in a row. But
Yeah.
once you do, you kind of like say, okay, this is your foundation. Now you need to take this and go see a CDFA or whatever the next step.
Yeah, so I mean, I could do it that way if you're just trying to get through an immediate period, but usually in divorce, I would be working with you longer because those numbers are going to change, especially like if you haven't moved out. Like, if you are going to move out, then you don't necessarily know, like, how much are my new
I see.
utilities going to be. If you haven't bought another house yet, or if you don't know what the rent is going to be, then those numbers are going to change, and then I would still be working on developing like the mindset, the systems, and the habits to implement whatever we were working.
Gotcha. Okay.
And another thing I want to add is, usually when we do the first set of numbers of like the big picture of where is your money going by fixed fund and future, um, that doesn't usually total 100% because people actually don't know where their money is going, right? Like, they might think I spend 200 on restaurants and it could actually be 400. Or they might think like, I don't do much, and then they forget I had that trip to see grandma. So continuing with me with ongoing coaching is where we get more into your daily transactions and we find out where the money is actually going. And then you decide, is that where I want it to go or not? Right.
Mm,
Because what I've been discovering with my recent clients is they've got a lot of money going to buy now, pay later plans, and they have no idea how much it totals because it's just like $11 here, $20 there, but it's spread out across multiple payments. And if you keep doing that, all of a sudden it's added up to $700 a month. And then they're like, why can't I pay my credit card, or why can't I pay my bills? Like, where's my money going? It's
yeah.
because you already committed it, right? But it was in such a tiny amount you didn't realize.
Yeah. No, I know. I quit using my debit card like that because it's so easy to
Yeah.
swipe that little debit card and it's, you know $46 here and 29.99 there, you know, and then you look at your checking account and you're like, "Why is there, like, 15 pages of debit
Yeah.
charges," you know? And they all may be small, but they add up until you're
Yes.
like, "Holy cow, I have gotta
And
get."
so I also work on the behavior underneath that and the thinking underneath that, right? So like what was the thinking and what were you feeling when you did that purchase? Because sometimes it's, well, I want to reward myself for a hard day, or I want to console myself because it was a hard day. And then we brainstorm about what could you do besides doing a
Yeah.
swipe that would help give you that dopamine hit or help address those feelings that you're having.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, I have kind of been going through some of that myself. I'm doing it myself just because I wanted to get like a handle on stuff. It is
Mm,
just so easy to let your finances get out of hand.
yeah.
And, you know, I mean, if this is not a all confession of Lori Hawkins video, but I really did, even doing that, I learned some things about me, you know?
Well, and that's a very good example of why you need a coach, right? Like even if you've already been through your divorce, right? You might not be in debt, but you can still benefit from a coach
Oh, yeah.
because if we're meeting once a month, then those transactions are not going to get out of hand for too long. And I'm going
Right.
to be your accountability partner. And I'm going to be
Right.
looking at those with you and asking you kind of thought-provoking questions. And you're going to take some time to reflect, right?
Mhm.
Which will help you make better decisions in the next month.
Well, it's really interesting how I'm gonna say we as humans, it may be Lori, it might not be everybody, but, you know, how I kinda come to realize that I got rid of one bad habit, and I kinda substituted that instant gratification of shopping
Yeah.
to fill the void of the other bad habit but I didn't see it like that until I started looking at my finances,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Lori, you were doing the same thing as you were doing 2 years ago. You
Just with
just
something
changed
different.
what it was," you know?
Yeah, that's
It was
actually
very
quite common.
eye-opening.
Yeah, that is quite common, especially in kind of like the addiction community. Like if you cut off alcohol, you will find something else to replace it
Mhm.
with, right? It could be shopping, and then you cut off shopping, and then maybe it's overeating, and like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, I
again,
mean,
it's like
it was very interesting, very
addressing the
enlightening.
root. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's amazing. Well, tell people how to get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way is to go to my website, insightfinancialcoaching.com. And from there, you'll see a button to book a call. That's a free 20-minute conversation with me. And the purpose of that is just to find out, where are you at financially? What are you struggling with? And where are you trying to get to? And will my coaching services help you get there and help you get there faster?
Yeah,
And that's it. And that's all that's for. And they can learn about me on the website. They can listen to the podcast episode and read some articles about me just to get a feel for who I am. And
yeah.
yeah, hopefully get their finances together pre-divorce. And,
Well,
if you're going through the process or if you're already divorced, it's never too late to reach out.
right, and I'm gonna tell you, just it has been freeing these last few months going through this myself, and I could imagine if I would actually have hired you, how much easier it actually would have been, but it has been freeing to feel like I actually know what's coming out of my account, I have control over it, um it's been very freeing. So it's one of those things that people do put on the back burner or they delay it or they don't wanna deal with it, but I'm telling you, if you hit it head on, it's gonna make you feel like a new person. It really does. There's just such a freedom in that.
Yeah, and that's what my clients have been reporting as well, because I get a lot of avoiders and I just tell them, take scary action or messy action. If we have to do it together, we do it together. And they do it. And then they're like, yes, that's a relief. I feel better
Exactly.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nope, I agree. Well, is there anything as far as business-wise that you would want the listeners to know that we didn't cover? I don't wanna cut you off if there's something else that you would, like to say.
I think the only thing else I would like to say is just that I try to create a very safe space for women to talk about money because they may have had experiences in the past where they were spoken down to by a male advisor, or maybe somebody in their family didn't want to give them money or something like that when they needed it. So I have a very safe, shame free, judgment free space. I meet you where you're at. If we do coaching and there's homework and you don't do your homework, I still want you to show up anyway. I'm not going to like wag my finger at you.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to keep saying, yes, the path is a winding path. It's not a straight path. It's going to be two steps forward, one steps back, one step back. And I'm here to encourage you all along the way, whether you think you're doing it perfectly or not. And I'm here to celebrate all those little tiny steps that you're taking
Well,
because
your
those are going to add up.
demeanor is very inviting. So I can
Thank you.
imagine as a coach and you working through finances, which are hard subjects, and people get emotional about them. And
Mhm.
because, like with me, deep down, I knew I was really messing myself up. It was
Mm,
just taking the time to sit down and do it to where I was really kind of forced to. I mean, I just got to the point where I was like, "We've got to do this." And it wasn't a pretty picture, and I sat here in my office for several nights going through things and thinking, "How did I get here? This is crazy." But
mm,
I can imagine, like I said, you just have a very soft-spoken, nice demeanor that I think you could even make a bad situation seem not so bad. So, that is
yeah.
great.
And you touched on a great point that shame is a barrier, right? And so again, shame-free zone. And I encourage people like you don't need to shame yourself. It's all knowledge and information. And once we know better, we try and do better.
Exactly. I mean, and it's one of those things that now that I have kind of pushed through this and I am keeping like I have a spreadsheet now, I am recording all my expenses and know better, even to be able to project what's going to be happening, in the months ahead. And, like I said, there's just something about it actually getting a control, and that's probably true for every part. People wanna lose weight. When you finally kinda get control of
Yeah.
that, or it's like you said, any kind of addiction, whether it's food or shopping or alcohol or whatever it is, to actually be able to get some kind of control on it's just a really, really good feeling. Really good feeling.
Mhm.
So, I did wanna mention though, because I always ask my guests to give me a fun fact, and I loved yours, because you mentioned that you traveled the world with your family for 6 months,
Yes.
and that you visited 10 countries on 5 continents. That must have been amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was a lot of fun and I planned it and I did it when my kids were younger and I'm so glad they did because one of them doesn't like to travel now. Yeah, it was a lot of
But, I mean, the memories, I mean, the photos you guys probably, took, I mean, that is something that I mean, you will too, but that the kids are gonna have forever, and y'all probably still talk about stuff,
yes,
that
we do.
happened on these trips or funny stories or whatever.
And even if they don't have very clear memories because they were younger, they still have an imprint on them where they're just more open to people from different countries, because they've seen a wide variety of people, they've heard the different languages, they've seen different currencies. And so it just makes them more adaptable, more open to other people, whether they remember the specific activities that we did or not. Yeah.
Yeah. That is so cool. That is so, so cool. Thank you so much. This was just as enjoyable as I knew that it would be. So I
You're
am
welcome.
so glad that you were a guest. I appreciate your knowledge that you bring to this, and I know that you help a lot of women. I know you do good work with them. So I just, pray you have continued success.
Thank you, Lori. That means a lot to me, and I'm so glad that our paths crossed.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, hopefully there'll be some people getting in touch with you, and I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay, thanks, Lori.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The information contained herein is not legal advice. If you need legal advice, please seek an attorney.